Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Abdullah Tariq, and I'm here to talk about the information age and the learning revolution. Specifically, I will talk about what the information age is that we live in today, the laws governing the information age, what can we infer from these laws. Then I'm going to talk about an example of the learning revolution that we are seeing today and how it may change the world tomorrow. I'll talk about some statistics about my example, the model, and then I'll conclude. So what is the information age? I took the liberty of asking that question from Google, and I got 1,080,000,000 hits, okay, in 0.12 seconds. So information age is an age where information is readily available, and sometimes too much of it, but really information age today is possible because of people on the network using a lot of computing devices, sharing knowledge. Okay, and one of the main things that is different between the information age and the age that preceded it, which was the industrial age, is the economies of scale. You see, when we talk about the information age, mostly we're talking about bits and bytes, and bits and bytes traveling through the network. So if you take an example of your technical communication book, that hardcover book or that softcover book, what you really see is something that was created out of wood pulp, paper, printing press. There was a lot of shipping costs involved from shipping from the printing press to you, as well as a lot of warehousing. When you start talking about the information age, we start talking about the book that you had on your iPad, right? And so the big difference between the information age and the age that preceded it was that to create something new, you don't necessarily need a lot of material. So the cost of creating that additional ebook is very close to zero because you don't need to create anything, right? It's just bits and bytes. So that's the big difference between what the information age gives us as the opportunity and what we had before, which was the industrial age. So the laws of information age, the first law of the information age is by Gordon Moore, who was the founder and CEO of Intel. And this law is the fundamental law of the computer industry. And what the law states is that the number of transistors on a chip double every 18 months. Or conversely, you can say that the cost of computing halves every 18 months. Okay? So every year when you see an iPhone that has the same price tag, but it has more disk space, it has a better camera, it has more features, this law is what computer industry applies to get you that price, because every 18 months the price halves. The second law is by Robert Metcalfe. He's the person who created the Ethernet that we use everywhere to access our internet in our offices. And what Metcalfe's law suggests is that the value of a network grows as the square of the numbers using it. So think in terms of Facebook and LinkedIn. The more people you have in those networks, the more valuable that network is, right? And if you start thinking about computing devices, you can think in terms of a telephone. If you just have two telephones, then only two people can call each other. But if you have a lot of telephones, then there are exponentially more connections you can make with people, okay? The third law is by John Cowell, who was a professor at Harvard University. And his law states that the power of creativity rises exponentially with the diversity and divergence of those connected into the network. So you see this law in schools where a lot of times diversity is preferred over people entering with similar backgrounds. You see that in a lot of companies that deal with knowledge-based problems. You need diversity and divergence, and I'll talk a little more about it when I get to my example of the learning revolution. So what can we infer from these three laws of information? The first thing we can infer is that the cost of computing will continue to decrease. And we have seen that in our lives, where every year the cost of the computer goes down, we get more rebates, we get computing equipment cheaper every year. And we can also deduce that more and more people will connect to the internet. And we can see that throughout the world. And as more and more people with different backgrounds and different country and in different countries with different religious backgrounds and cultural backgrounds join the internet, there will be more diversity and divergence. And we've seen that in the Middle East recently with all the revolutions that are taking place, that more and more people are using the internet and learning new ideas. So let me just quickly talk about the learning revolution. Let me just give you.
It's a nonprofit with a simple but audacious mission to provide a free world-class education for anyone, anywhere.
There's a website that I've just been using with my kids recently called Khan Academy, K-H-A-N. Just one guy doing some unbelievable 15-minute tutorials.
That's right. Bill Gates, one of the smartest and richest men in the world, was using Sal Khan's free videos to teach his own kids.
So it's a simple website called khanacademy.org. There's this guy, he's 35 years old. He was the commencement speaker at Rice University this year, as well as MIT. And he created this website 5 or 6 years ago, well, 3 years ago actually. He started teaching his cousins with math problems on YouTube. And then he figured out that if he posts 10-minute videos on YouTube on different subjects, there were a lot of people who were availing that content on the internet. And so he created this website called khanacademy.org, and as you can see, Bill Gates was using this website to teach his kids. So here is Salman Khan. He is also on the cover of Forbes magazine this month. Let me just give you a little statistics which kind of supports the argument of economies of scale on the internet. Over 3,500 tutorials available on the website. And these are 10-minute short videos on all kinds of subjects. So algebra, pre-calculus, history, math, economics, finance, you name it, they have it on this website. Watched over 200 million times. So we're talking about economies of scale, you know, of the information age. Over 6 million unique students. That's 10 times more students that have been to Harvard University since 1636. Over 500 million exercises done. And it's being piloted in 23 schools in California. So, you know, the model has to be unique and very divergent, like John Cow says in the third law of information age, that what Khan Academy, what this guy did was, he said the present class model has to be challenged because students go to the classroom in high schools, in middle schools, and they just sit passively to attend a lecture. Why don't we take that lecture out of the classroom and give that to the student as an exercise, as a homework? So we flip the roles. We flip the lecture of the classroom and give that lecture of the classroom and give that as an assignment to the student. And when the student comes into the class, the student can interact with fellow students. The student can interact with the teacher, and the student can do their exercises online. Okay? And the teacher has a dashboard. And the teacher can see real time the progress of all the students. And if the teacher can identify a student as having a problem, solving a certain problem, the teacher can go to the student and say, do you want me to assign you a peer who has already understood the problem, or do you want me to help you with that? So there's more interaction in this model. We are flipping the classroom roles. Teachers are still very important in this model. They are geared more towards, model is geared more towards interaction with the problems of the students. There's a concept of mastery, which simply means that you cannot move on to the next concept until you have learned a prerequisite concept. So through software, through this website, and I'll show you a demo of the website, but the mastery concept is fundamental to the learning model here. So let me just quickly show you the demo.
Let's say that I'm working in a restaurant and I'm making $10 per hour, but on top of my hourly wage, I also get tips each hour. So this entire expression, you can view this as how much I might make in a given hour. Now, you might also realize that the number of tips or the amount of tips I might make in an hour can change dramatically from hour to hour. It can vary. 1 hour, it might be lunchtime, get a lot of tips, people might get some big ticket items. The next hour, I might not have any customers, and then my tips might be really low. So the tips part right over here, we consider that, the entire word, we consider that to be a variable.
So that was a short video. I just played part of it, but what he's explaining is the concept of a variable. You see the teacher's face is not present there. So it's only a blackboard that you see, and if you watch this feedback that the students are giving today, they're saying that they love these videos and they are using this website quite a lot. So in conclusion, I would like to say that the information age has presented us with the opportunity to problem solve to innovate and to educate in ways that were not possible before in human history. And Khan Academy is a good example of how we can avail the economies of scale that the information age has presented us with. It seems that learning is no more a privilege. Thank you.